Hi everyone, welcome to a new series on LTF1, the Q list. You're going to be with me, Ishan, Akshar, and Raj.
Hey guys.
It's good to be back.
In this series, we're going to be ranking a different top 10 every week around the subject of F1. Today, we're going to be talking about drivers from 2020 and ranking them in a list from DNQ, did not qualify, Q1, Q2, and Q3. So first up we have Alex Albon. What do you guys think?
I like the guy. I don't want to be mean to him, but he's not had the best season.
No, he's not. Whether I'd put him in Q1 or DNQ, I don't want to be too harsh. Raj, what do you think?
I think he has some potential, but he's not fulfilling it at the moment, and he's being outshined considerably by Max Verstappen. Whether that's to do with the car, and they're in a similar position like Vettel and Leclerc, but I do feel that he does have a fighting edge to him, but it depends on the patience of Red Bull and how long they will stick with him.
Yeah, because there's obviously the big rumours at the minute of Red Bull taking on Checo Perez, so I think based on just on this season, yeah, somewhere between Q1 and DNQ for me.
Q1, and we can put him at the bottom of Q1 later on if you want.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Kimi Räikkönen.
Again, I'd probably say DNQ for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm done with him on the grid, to be honest with you. Time for him to go.
I know everyone likes his sort of don't care personality, but I think it's time for him to just call it a day now, because he's even admitted he's just racing for fun now, and I think that's just taking a seat from someone else that deserves it. Next up, we have probably a controversial one. This might cause a bit of argument, but Bottas, for me, probably Q2, because he's put in a solid year. He's obviously not near the level of Hamilton, but he has had a lot of bad luck as well, so I think it'd be harsh to put him in Q1 or DNQ, but for me, I'd say Q2. Actually,
I was going to go did not qualify.
Really?
What's he doing on the grid? Why is he still around? Like, if he's made his peace that he's not going to win the championship now, what are you sticking around for?
Well, I think that feels harsh to me, because I don't think he's a bad driver. I know a lot of people criticise him, but I don't think he's that bad. I think he'd do a decent job at any other team, but at Mercedes, I will agree he's a bit of, not to be too mean, but a bit dead woody. Raj, do you have any thoughts on it?
So with regards to Bottas, I think that he's coming to the end of his time at Mercedes. He's had a few years to prove himself now since Rosberg departed, and I don't think Mercedes are willing to have him clog up that seat anymore. I think because with Hamilton coming to the end of his career as well, I think they want to look for a new driver who they can rely on and in the next few years to take over from Hamilton, and I don't think Bottas is that person.
So I'm saying Q2, because I don't think he's an awful driver. I think he can still do a job at another team. Akshar's saying DNQ. Raj, which tier would you rank him in?
I'll go Q2.
Akshar, your thoughts on Q2?
We can compromise. I'm saying DNQ. You two are saying Q2. Bang him in Q1. Top of Q1.
We'll give him top of Q1 then. I'm sure that'll make him feel a bit better.
Verstappen. I don't think there can be much argument about this. Q3. One of the drivers of the season.
Yeah, and I honestly think he will be, after Hamilton, the best driver on the grid. Better than George Russell.
Yeah.
Sorry, George.
On current form, Max, yes, Q3, no doubt.
Yeah, I don't think, if, say, Hamilton retired or left today, I think he's, by a little bit of a distance, the best driver on the grid. So yeah, Q3 makes sense. Next up, we have Carlos Sainz, one of my favourite drivers. I really like him. He's overperformed in quite a few races this year. He's had a really good season. He's currently ranked 7th at the time of recording in the driver standing. So for me, I think that's a Q2 solidly. What do you think?
Q2 for me as well. I agree.
I'd push up towards Q3, but for now, I'd say yeah, Q2. But definitely, come next year, I reckon Q3 easily.
Yeah, Yeah, because I think next season maybe Q3 if we did it again the same time next season. Because if Ferrari are competitive again next year, well, not again, but if they are competitive next year, then I think he stands a good chance of fighting for a lot more podiums. So yeah, Q2 for now. And next up we have Charles Leclerc, who at the weekend torpedoed and ended Max Verstappen's race. It wasn't wholly his fault, but a bit reckless. So,
Still,
but
still got the
overall,
Q3.
yeah, he's outperformed his car by a lot this year. Like Ferrari, with 6th in the Constructors' Championship, considering that he's 6 out of 20 in the driver standings, he's massively outperformed his car. So, yeah, Q3 been a very good season, I think.
Yes, I agree with that.
These have been easy so far.
The next one's
Lewis
really
Hamilton.
easy.
Lewis Hamilton, even easier. This one I don't think really needs any discussion either. Q3 has to be.
But where in Q3 would you put him? At the top of Q3 or behind Max?
I actually wouldn't. Personally, I would say Verstappen edges it ever so
I'd go
slightly.
above. Sorry.
Rad just torpedoed me like Charles Leclerc did last weekend. But yeah, just because I know Hamilton's the best driver on the grid, I really don't want to be attacked by Hamilton fans because I too am a Hamilton fan, a big Hamilton fan. I always have been. But Max has had a car that's inferior to the Mercedes. He has stated it at every given opportunity this year. And he's still managed to be better than Bottas, but not as good as Hamilton. So, given his really young age, I think Max Verstappen can have a future on par with Hamilton's. So, I'd say he edges it ever so slightly. What do you two think?
Yeah, I agree. This season, Max might have been the better driver, possibly. But overall, Lewis has him.
Yeah. Raj, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that Hamilton is not necessarily the better driver, but he's in the better position in terms of his car and in terms of the ability of the Mercedes. But in terms of maximizing the potential of a car, there's nobody on the grid better than Max Verstappen.
Yeah, I'd say that. Next up, we're Pierre Gasly, who is another driver I think has had a strong season this year. At the time of recording, 11th on the driver standings. What do you two think? Where would you put him?
Solidly Q2.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Because, again, he's another driver that on a number of occasions has... He's had a better season than Albon in a worse car. He's 3 places behind him in a car that's not as good. And he's not expected to be challenging drivers such as Albon. So, yeah, Q2 easily for me. Raj?
Yeah, I'd agree with Q2. I think that Albon, despite being in the better car, has not really displayed that advantage in the Drivers' Championship. And despite all that, Gasly's sort of still up there and challenging. So I think, yeah, Q2 would be a good place to put him.
Yeah, next up, we have Ocon, who had an amazing finish at the Sakhir GP. And I think overall he's gone under the radar and he's been quite underrated. But overall, he's been a way off his teammate. Yeah, this season he's been a long way off Ricciardo. Ricciardo 5th, Ocon 2nd. And I understand he's not the same driver that Danny Ricciardo is, but I feel like he could have done more this season. I know it's been a tough year. Gasly's done well, Lance Stroll's done well, Norris. Then Albon's underperformed, Carlos Sainz has done well, but that's a big gap. So for me, I'm saying Q1, despite his amazing finish at the second to last race. What's your thoughts on this?
I agree. I'd put him top of Q1 maybe.
Yeah, definitely the top end of Q1, bordering Q2, but I think he needs to do well next year to move up the scale. Next up, we have Lance Stroll, who I like. I've grown to like him. At first, I was under the sort of, the herd opinion of, pay driver. But I think this year, in a few races, he's proved himself that he's a solid driver. not as good as Perez by a way. So it's understandable why they've kept him on, being the team boss's son, but they should have kept Perez. But Lance Stroll, he's not a bad driver. He's competitive. Q2 for me, I think.
I think at the top of Q1. I'm not entirely convinced by him as of yet, but I also think that Perez outshining him has not really done him justice. In that Perez, he's done well, but those podiums that he has, I feel like that's what separated him from Stroll. And I do feel that, yeah, Perez edges it by quite a bit for me. So I would have to say that top of Q1.
Yeah, but I do think,
What about you, Aisha?
going back to me for a second, I do think Stroll's had a little bit of bad luck this year as well that would have helped him out. Like, he could have, was it Bahrain? He could have had a podium at, or was it before Bahrain?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Bahrain.
Bahrain. Yeah, but his car rolled over. But he made up for it the week after. But yeah, I'd say that he's had glimpses of showing what he can do. But yeah, maybe top of Q1 then. Yeah, next up, Kevin Magnussen. For me, DNQ.
Yeah, he needed here nor there.
I think while he was at McLaren, yeah, he showed potential, but after that, it's been a bit downhill for him since.
Next up, Kvyat. And for me, I don't think he's been too bad this year. He's had a couple of good races, but still, Q1 for me, not amazing. Neither here nor there. Had a couple of good races.
I feel he's displayed a bit more maturity.
So Q1 then.
Yeah, Q1. Latifi. Yeah, Latifi. For me, DNQ might be harsh. I know he's new-ish, but not to be George Russell biased or George Russell centric. He's not really challenged his teammate, and I know in a Williams car challenging the rest of the pack is difficult, but he's not really challenged his teammate either. He's been out qualified every week, so for me, DNQ. I can't see him going too far on F1. I don't dislike him though, but yeah, DNQ for me.
I agree.
Q1 for me.
Q1, how come?
Bottom of Q1, just it's still his rookie season, so maybe he just deserves a chance.
Is there a top of DNQ we can go by?
Yeah, I guess.
2-1, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll go top of DNQ. Not in a disrespectful way. Seb Vettel. I love him, but it's been awful this season. Q1.
No. I don't think we should disrespect him that much.
I'm not disrespecting his legacy. I respect everything he's done in F1, but solely on this season. I know Ferrari's car's not been great, their power unit's not been great, but I can't really rank him much higher. I can't give him a Q2. I think that's unfair on the drivers having Q2. Max Shaw?
I agree. Yeah, I agree, Raj. Your opinion doesn't matter. Top of Q1.
We'll go with your dictatorship.
Well, us shutting down you on
That's
this
how we
channel
like
is
it.
becoming a recurring theme. I like it though. So next up we have Giovinazzi, and for me, I'm saying DNQ. Might be harsh again, but yeah. What do you two think?
Bottom of Q1. Dead last in Q1. He's showing glimpses, but it's not ever come together for him. So Q1.
Yeah, we'll do that. Bottom of Q1. Raj, your thoughts?
I'm going bottom of Q1.
Yeah, okay. So 2-1.
Bottom of Q1, yeah. I'll go with that.
Danny Ricciardo. Q2, easy one for me. He's outperformed his teammate by miles consistently most of the season. He's done really well in the car that he's had. He's helped Renault become more competitive again. So Q2 for me, straightforward.
Top of Q2 for me.
I agree with Raj. Top of Q2.
Yeah,
Perez.
Q2 easily. Checo Perez, Q3 has to be. He's raced for his life this season, and a lot of people are saying he's doing it because he doesn't have a seat for next year. But even if that is the case, he's still been amazing this year, and he's put everything into it. Got his first win. Had a few podiums as well, and I think he's really pushed the car. And he was unlucky in Bahrain, so Q3 for me, and he deserves a seat next year. So Red Bull, hit him up. You two thoughts?
Q2.
Q2.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
He's done really well, but he does have the car underneath him at the same time. I think if you put anyone in the Q2 list, into the same position, they'd be getting the same results for me.
No, I don't necessarily agree with that. For me, Raj, what do you think?
I don't agree with that at all.
With Aksha or me?
Not at all.
Don't agree with who?
Because if we can put Leclerc, I'd say with Aksha, because if we can put Leclerc in Q3, why wouldn't Perez go in there? If we're on about sheer raw talent and producing with a car that isn't necessarily the top car, why wouldn't we put Perez in Q3?
Because Leclerc's done it last year in a top car, and he's done it this year in a dogma car. He's shown both.
But we're on about this year. If we want to talk about last year, we can always put Vettel in there.
Okay.
But poor Vettel was in Q1.
Vettel deserves to be in
fine.
Q1.
Then Perez goes in Q2 because Leclerc has potential going forward. Perez doesn't. If he's at the peak of his career now, he's not got too much longer left.
But is he yet to peak with a top team like Red Bull?
Yeah, for me, it's got to be Q3, and I think he can prove it at Red Bull next year too, because same team as Lance Stroll, and as I did put Lance Stroll, well, top-ish of Q1, but same team, similar car, Lance Stroll 10th, Sergio Perez 4th, and that's in a car that's far inferior to Mercedes, and even Red Bull. He's managed to get that result out for it, and I think I think he deserves to be Q3. So I'm glad we're nearly all agreed, but next up...
I'm not even going to bother asking you.
Next up is a driver on this channel, which you'll probably assume is our favourite driver, and you wouldn't be wrong. And for me, Q2...
Debatable.
Q2 for me. And
what?
You may be surprised, Q2, but I think the only way he could get into Q3 is if he is with a better team. And I know I know I'm supposed to be rating these relatively, but top of Q2 for
I'm
me.
proud of you.
Thank you.
I am proud of you. Non-biased.
What do you think?
I think you've lost it. If Perez is Q3, Russell's Q3.
That's true. Yeah, I've had a change of heart all of a sudden. Yeah, Q3.
Glad to see you come around.
Raj, I'm not going to ask your thoughts because you're going to disagree. So moving on.
Top of Q2. Top of Q2.
Yeah, nobody cares what you think. Not when it comes to this.
We don't on this channel. Lando, for me, top of Q1.
What?
Top of Q1.
Lando and Carlos have been next to each other like the whole season.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, but let me redo that bit again.
Lost it.
I don't know why I said that. I was meaning to say Q2, and it just came out Q1.
Yeah, I'm with that.
So last up, we have Romain Grosjean, who we're sadly saying goodbye to an F1 this weekend. Would have been nice if he could have been racing, but unfortunately he won't be. It's harsh, but DNQ, because Haas have just been so dead weight this season. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I like the guy, but the results just aren't there.
Yeah, I love him, but it's not been good. Raj?
We can put him top of DNQ.
We'll put him top of there just to be nice. Raj, your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like while he was at Lotus, he was there, but since that move to Haas, it hasn't really paid off for him, and his career's gone downhill.
Yeah, it's been declining for a while now, so yeah, DNQ. This is our final grid then. And first on pole we have Max Verstappen, just behind him Lewis Hamilton. The second row we have Leclerc and George Russell in the points today. Behind those two we have Sergio Perez ending our Q3. In Q2, just behind Perez, we have Danny Ricciardo and Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly. For Q1, we have Seb Vettel and Ocon in positions they're used to finding themselves in this season. Bottas and Lance Stroll, and behind those two, Alex Albon and Kvyat. Giovinazzi rounds off Q1, and in DNQ we have the usual suspects. We have Romain Grosjean, Latifi, Raikkonen, and Magnussen. And that's our final grid. Let us know what you think. Thank you guys for watching today. Next week we'll be back on Wednesday again with a season review. Don't forget, whilst you're here, to like, comment, and subscribe, and share. You can follow us on social media on Twitter _LTF1_ and Instagram LTF1official. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you next Wednesday.